Chapter 13. How Lightning was Made. In the early days of the world, when the animals used to fraternize with mankind, they tried to emulate the manners and customs of men, and they spoke their language. Mankind held a great festival every 13 moons, where the strongest men and the most handsome youths danced sword dances. They also contested in archery and other noble games, befitting to their race and their tribe as men of the hills and the forests, the eldest and the noblest of all the tribes. The animals used to attend these festivals and enjoyed watching the games and the dances. Some of the younger and more enterprising among them even clamored for a similar carnival for the animals. "We also want to hold a festival of our own," said the chimpanzee, swinging from the branches of the big tree under which the elders were seated. Soon, the other animals started to chant, we want our own carnival." As the commotion grew, after a time, the elders agreed. So, it was decided that the animals should appoint a day to hold a great feast. After a period of practicing dances and learning games, Upython, the thunder giant, was sent out with his big drum to summon the entire world to the festival. Upython's drum was the biggest and the loudest of all the drums and could be heard from the remotest corner of the forest. "Listen, listen, listen," he thundered. "Come ye all, big or small. The time to show your talents and prowess has come. The animal carnival will be held on the next full moon." Consequently, a very large multitude came together, which was never been seen at any festival. The animals were all very smartly arrayed, each one after his or her own taste and fashion, and each one carrying some weapon of warfare or a musical instrument according to the part he intended to play in the festival. There was much amusement when the squirrel came up, beating on a little drum as he marched. In his wake came the little bird Shakailya, playing on a flute, followed by the porcupine marching to the rhythm of a pair of small cymbals. Everyone was exceedingly merry. They joked and poked fun at one another in great glee. Some of the animals laughed so much on that feast day that they have never been able to laugh since. The mole was there, and on looking up, he saw the owl trying to dance, swaying as if she was drunk and tumbling against all sorts of obstacles, as she could not see where she was going. He laughed so heartily that his eyes became narrow slits and have remained the same till today. When the merriment was at its height, Yukui, the lynx, arrived on the scene, displaying a very handsome silver sword, which he had procured at great expense to make a show at the festival. When he began to dance and brandish the silver sword, everyone applauded. He really danced very gracefully, but so much approbation turned his head, and he became very arrogant and began to think of himself better than all his neighbors. Just then, Upython, the thunder giant, happened to look around, and he saw the performance of the lynx and admired the beauty of the silver sword, and he asked to have the handling of it for a short time as a favor, saying that he would like to dance a little but had brought no instrument except his big drum. "Give me your beautiful sword, Yukui," thundered the giant. This was not at all to Yukui's liking, for he did not want anyone but himself to handle his fine weapon. "No, no," he said, hiding his sword behind his back. All the animals began to shout as if with one voice, saying, "Shame!" for showing such discourtesy to a guest, and especially to the guest by whose kindly offices the assembly had been summoned together. So Yukui was forced to give up his silver sword. As soon as Upython got possession of the sword, he began to wield it with such rapidity and force that it flashed like a leaping flame, till all eyes were dazzled almost to blindness. At the same time, he started to beat on his big drum with such violence that the earth shook and trembled, and the animals fled in terror to hide in the jungle. During the confusion, Upython leapt to the sky, taking the lynx's silver sword with him. Today, he is frequently seen brandishing it wildly there and beating loudly on his drum. In many countries, people call these manifestations thunder and lightning. But the ancient Khasis who were present at the festival knew them to be the stolen sword of the lynx. Yukui was very disconsolate and has never grown reconciled to his loss. It is said of him that he has never wandered far from home since then, in order to live near a mound he is trying to raise, which he hopes will one day reach the sky. He hopes to climb on the top of it to overtake the giant Upython and to seize his silver sword once more.